I'm really excited for this expert insight. There is tons of information that is really relevant to you. I was lucky to bring in Corey Jacobs. Corey is a highly successful medical sales rep and a very successful sales trainer. He's an intelligent, thoughtful, methodical, hard-working sales rep. He is a kind person. He is very giving, and I really enjoyed our conversation, and I know you will too. He graduated from the University of West Georgia. He did not immediately become a medical sales rep, but he did jump into healthcare sales. He worked for a recruitment agency where he found his way into a position where he was actually meeting with the top executives of hospitals and selling them on the recruitment services. Having been in that space for years, he was then recruited by a medical sales company and took the leap, where he's been extremely successful. And 2 out of those 3 years, he's been a part of the President's Club, which essentially recognizes you for being a part of the top sales reps in the entire country. But what makes his insights so powerful is the fact that he started his own sales training company, an organization in which he consulted sales teams, both small and large organizations, to pay him tens of thousands of dollars to come in and speak to their team either for a day or for a few days, and had also online platforms and has trained countless people over the years. He has trained them on sales skills, mindset, and more. The more I talk to him, the more I discover. I still have more to discover, but there is so much information packed in our conversations. I'm really excited for you to listen in on my conversations with Corey Jacobs, someone who has sold into healthcare for years and then goes into medical sales, and you see the difficulty of it. What makes a good sales rep? Like the ideal, like something things that you need to have in order to be good.
Yeah, I think most people think, oh, you're a relationship builder. I'm a relationship guy. I'm a recovering people pleaser in my life, right? And so it's very difficult to sell when you're a people pleaser and you think relationships are going to get you there because you're not. So it's what makes a salesperson really good is the ability to slow down a deal and like work it on their time and ask really good questions. Meaning, are you able to uncover a challenge? And are you able to articulate that challenge into a solution that you carry? Or are you able to uncover a challenge and identify you don't have a solution for that and kind of
Yeah.
move on?
I remember learning, like, it's best to know up front whether or not deal is going to go through, if they're genuinely interested. And at first, I remember it feels like I'm talking my way out of an opportunity. Like, this is
Hmm.
a legitimate opportunity. They're willing to meet with us. Um, but in reality, there it will come down to the point where they're going to have to sign off, and they're not going to sign off on whatever you're selling unless they feel really strongly that they need it because they're on a budget. So find out early on if this is something that's going to be very important to them, right?
Yeah,
And if it's not,
exactly.
don't waste your time. You're preventing yourself from spending months where you could be spending it elsewhere.
And
So it's like you
psychologically
said,
get
it's asking the
discouraged.
right questions.
Yeah, I mean, that's well said. Can you create urgency when you find a problem? How do you create urgency? There's an art to that because if you make it your idea, they don't care as much. Again, you're number 37 on a 100 party list, but if you make it their idea, it's very easy to get a deal moving. But yeah, to find out if there's an opportunity is number one. That's challenging. And we're talking complex sales. Transactional sales is a very different sales cycle than the complex sales world of medical device. It's a very different sales cycle. You have multiple stakeholders. As soon as you give pricing, a deal could stall. If you don't have champions, if you don't, there's all kinds of components that are needed. Um, to
Yeah,
identify if
champions.
there's an opportunity. And once an opportunity is identified on both parts, I think you have to create an urgency. And there's various ways to do that.
Gotcha. It's where you're at today, to the point where you said you're managing $21 million book of business. I look at that number and I extrapolate that out in my head because, and tell me if I'm wrong here, disposables are extremely inexpensive products,
Yeah.
generally speaking. So the amount of products within that $21 million that's a massive book of business
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
disposables, I think. Yeah.
Oh, you're spot
That's
on.
incredible, man. So could you get into what you sell now, or what specialty you've sold in for a majority of your career, at least, to kind of give some insight into like what that world is like?
Yeah. So in medical device, I sell disposables. So one-time use products is the major parts of my bag. I'm in oncology. and vascular care. Each are a tree with 1,000 branches. I mean, when you think of oncology, I'm sure you
Yeah.
think of cancer. My products within oncology is hazardous drug safety, meaning my products keep clinicians, patients, and anyone around these hazardous drugs safe from being exposed to the aerosols or the drips and drops. So, when one product in particular that's made me quite successful and that I've become an expert at is called a closed system transfer device. This is a product of multiple components that is used to compound chemotherapy or other hazardous drugs within the pharmacy. It's also used to transport it. Same components are used to administer it, whether through a syringe or an IV bag.
Yeah.
So I sell that, and then I sell a contamination device that measures hazardous drug like on surfaces where it shouldn't be, like under an IV pole or on a keyboard or toilet, XYZ.
Wow.
That's the oncology side. And then on the vascular care side, really just infection prevention. So let's say your vein is already accessed. I sell the care and maintenance of making sure you don't get any kind of bloodstream infection or any kind of hospital acquired infection at all. And the products that that hospital is using are used to its full capacity without having to change it unnecessarily. The
Gotcha. They're being really
dressings.
efficient with their
Yeah.
use. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So so if somebody newer to the field or doesn't has never even been into the field, they hear this, it's like, how the heck did you even get into that? How do you find yourself like I'm going to imagine you weren't like looking for like you knew about the technology and you're like, let me find a role in this space. It's quite opposite, right? The role kind of found you, maybe, or was it relationship? What was it?
Yeah. I got lucky. I mean, I did the hard work, but I did get lucky. I'm with a great organization called Becton Dickinson. They are a very large, prestigious company, and I got reached out to by a recruiter, so I was very lucky. Now, Pedro, I'm sure you being in medical device for as long as you get reached out by recruiters all the time, and
Yeah.
it's
Once
hard
you're
to
in, you're
like
in.
listen and figure out if it's real. But I took someone's call, um, and it was in a moment of time where I was probably going to transition out of my the consulting sales I was in.
Mm,
So it just was good timing. I had no clue, to answer your question, I had no clue what a closed system transfer device was or what consisted in oncology. I had zero clue. So no, I didn't know about the technology before. During the interview process, part of my role was to learn about the products as best as possible. So that was my first stab at that, and I was able to understand it quite well. And I really learned more about the products themselves as I did the job. I started in 2021.
okay. And so the majority of the people that I know that are in medical sales, they say when they got in, they got lucky. But at the same time, if you listen to the story, it's like they created their own luck by putting themselves in the opportunity to get lucky, to have that person reach out to them or to have that person look out for them and someone say, hey, you know, you'd be good at this, or let me put you in touch with someone. It's because they've done the work, they presented themselves correctly or whatever it may be. So it's not like you were just walking down the street and you just got a random email, you know. You did put in the work. But for someone who's looking to get into med sales, where do you feel, how should I ask this? Where do you feel is a good entry point? Like, is there a certain way to get in, or like, how would you go about getting into med sales if you had no experience?
Well, first of all, I knew I wanted to be in medical device sales since I was out of college, so I was always kind of into it. But um, it just happened to do it 10 years, 12 years later. But and I was in a good role. But yeah, I think a good entry point is focusing on the disposables is a great entry point in because capital sales is a very difficult realm to get in. Even if you're a disposable, you've been in disposables for 20 years and you've had no capital experience, they still need you to get capital experience. The conundrum of med device.
Yeah.
You don't have med device experience, but you need med device experience to get into med device. But it's I think I think you need to understand that there are a lot of junior roles or associate roles out there. And I think disposables is a good way in, or areas where it's not so clinically product focused. Like
Yeah.
There's lab jobs where you can go and pick up specimens, and there's so many ways in
Yeah.
that you can get exposed. Also, just getting healthcare sales experience is good too, whether that be tech, whether that be recruiting, whether that be EMR sales. Like, get into the healthcare space of sales. That's going to get you in better.
Yes. There's a young guy recently graduated from Kennesaw University, and I worked with him for a few weeks, and he just got a healthcare. He um somewhat sells into healthcare. He's selling his company's offerings so that the hospitals utilize him to help bring in personnels on a third party basis. So whether it's like nursing or some sort of executive role that's open, he's doing essentially his recruiting and staffing. Um, and he wants to be in medical sales, but he's smart enough to know, hey, let me take this because this company really wants me. Um, I'm happy to be a part of it. I can take this lower wage, which is really just maybe 5-10 grand lower than he would for an associate med sales device role. And now he's in healthcare. He's in this space. And now he'll be able to meet people face to face. And within months or, maybe a year or two, he can then pick and choose what med sales role he can really dive into and actual sell products. And he'll have a better idea of what products he'd want to sell, whether it's surgical or maybe just wants to go to offices, whatever it may be. So finding that way in is good. Another route too is there's an engineer that I know, and she essentially does the the maintenance of these technologically advanced products. Right? It's not a robot per se, but she goes to labs and she runs the diagnostics. And she's a tech essentially, and she wants to get into medical device sales. After a whole bunch of discussions and looking at different jobs online, we came to an agreement that the best thing for her is to be a clinical specialist or a product specialist,
Yeah.
where she can
Yeah.
go in, right, and manage this large piece of equipment. She has the intelligence to do it. People would love her because of her degree and what she's doing now. But she's also in the realm of selling. She'll be a part of a sales team, but without the quota. She doesn't have to sell because she's just the product specialist managing the machine. Then from there, she can comfortably move into med sales, selling after a year or two. But this next year or two is where she's going to be immersed in the world without the pressure of having to sell. So she loves that idea. She loves that concept. So seeing all these different routes in, there really are a lot. But from the outside looking in, it seems like it's a fortress. How do I get into this med sales world? So
You're
trying
right.
to find that and hearing your story is like, of course, you're selling to executives, right? Naturally, a med sales company is going to want you because you probably built. How many relationships did you build?
Yeah.
Just doing what you were doing.
My call points are much different now, but um, I mean, I still have some of those relationships. It's been a long time since I've sold to the C-suite in that realm, but I built a ton of relationships within large IDNs and systems. And what it taught me, even if I didn't carry the same relationships in this role, what it taught me is how to navigate the the healthcare web. You know what I mean? It's very
Yeah,
connected and disconnected, and so I understood how to navigate to get to decision makers.
yeah,
Um, and so I carry those. I can build a relationship better now. It was very tough. I think the
understand.
transition from consulting sales to med device was I thought I made a bad decision because it was very difficult at first. But I
Yeah,
stuck with it and learned the process and got very clinical on the products that I used and was able to find success. Um, but yeah, there are a lot of ways in. My
interesting.
story, again, I felt like I was lucky and blessed to get reached out to, but I've been in healthcare sales for quite some time and had quite a successful realm. But if I could go to my younger self, knowing that I wanted to be in med device for a long time, I wish I
Yeah,
knew what I know now in the conversation we just had. There's so many avenues in the med device industry that you could have started in.
yeah. See now, just you and I have known each other for a bit. We have a lot of mutual friends, and it's funny how we didn't know we were in med sales, even though we probably
Yeah.
sold to the same
Yeah.
hospitals. Probably I was walking in, you were walking out. It's just how the world works. There's so many of us. But and speaking to you, you're well polished, like you're well spoken. I can see you managing a boardroom with executives and presenting to them, and I could see it. And do you feel like you had that? You worked your way to get to this point, and also I know that you have had an organization where you trained people on how to sell. Is that something that you worked on? How did you get to this point? Because I'm sure
Yeah.
you didn't just, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
please tell
mean,
me about that.
no, it's a great question, and thank you for the kind words. So I've worked on this very much so. I noticed when I was speaking with people around, I would get feedback from people. People gave me feedback. Bosses gave me feedback. Colleagues gave me feedback. I think you got to be around the right people and with the right company, and they should tell you where some areas you can improve upon, and then work on that. So even customers would tell me, "Hey, talk about this or say it this way or come in with this energy," right? That's the relationship you carry.
Wow.
But I did hire a speaking coach a long time ago because I was dedicated to the craft. I was dedicated. I naturally like talking to people. I'm an extrovert. I get energy from people naturally, but I know a lot of people, a lot of great salespeople who are introverts. You've got to own the craft. You got to be willing to invest in it. So I hired a keynote coach actually that just helped me speak, not to give keynotes, but a long time ago, I hired a coach to tell me how to present in a room. And then the most thing I worked on, Pedro, was actually just feeling cringy in the rooms and making mistakes and learning
Yeah.
that way and just getting used to being in the arena a bit and being very observant to how my peer customers, when I say peer customers, the folks I'm selling to should be my peer, how they talk
Yes.
and just mirroring that a bit.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, 100%. Mirror. And you have to kind of push yourself a bit, right? And see and get that feedback. You have to be able to make mistakes. And at that point, I was comfortable enough to make that mistake. And then getting into the boardrooms too, it's like, but really, it's observing, having, um, opening yourself up, and it is probably something that you did, because customers will not tell you, hey, say this, say that, unless you've positioned yourself as a person that is welcome to the feedback. And like, we're working together, like you said, we're peers, equal
Yeah.
business stature.
Yeah.
Yeah, help me and I'll help you. I
Yep.
love that. I love that. I
You got
really
to
do.
ask for it. You've got to tell them, like any relationship you carry, think about dating, right? And I did to your point about the company I started, the organization I started where we train sales teams. I said this analogy a lot. When you're selling, think about dating. You need to tell people how you want to be managed. You need to tell them the rules of engagement to you. And you do that by trying to be pretty authentic. If you want a deal to be done, there's a few steps you need to have, and you need to have a good relationship with your champions. Ask them, how should I present in front of these people? Tell me what to do. I mean, they want to hear that anyway. So you have to be very clear that you need feedback, whether that's from your
Yeah.
boss, colleague, if you're an associate, your territory manager that you're working with, ask for feedback. And listen, it's not always pretty. I'm not good at feedback. I don't like it. I don't like hearing it, but I
Yeah.
know it's necessary and I've got to remind myself it's constructive. But it got me here. It got me better, and I've got a long ways to go as well. And I think that's a good um, trait to carry, even as a senior salesperson, someone that's entrepreneurial like yourself. You can always do better, and there's always mistakes you're going to make. So
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, me too. It's almost, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but it's almost contradictory of the natural human nature of things is to have someone tell you that the way that you are and the way that you're acting, the way that you have been, this needs to change. So they're expressing like, I looked at you in the past, either probably at multiple moments, and you were doing that and you shouldn't have been,
yeah,
and that
it's
makes you
hard.
want to cringe.
Yeah.
But I look at it as like, I'm essentially saying, please hurt me. I'm ready to be hurt by your words, but I just know moving forward, this is going to make me better. And I respect you enough to tell me, like, I appreciate your opinion. And I think having that mindset has allowed me to have multiple mentors that have told me, hey, you really overanalyze and you need to just make a decision. Worst case scenario, what's going to happen? Just make a decision. And then in your head, if you once you make that decision in your head and it feels wrong, you now know to make that other choice, right? And like little things like that, those little breadcrumbs along the way have brought me to where I'm at, to where I can do what I can do. So, um, yeah, no,
Necessary.
yeah,
It's like a
it's
muscle.
absolutely
Like
necessary,
you
unless
got
you
to
get
rip the
stuck.
muscle for it to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same.
100%. A quick heads up. If you're getting value from this and you want more, check out medsalesblueprint.com. That's my website where I help people get into medical sales. I have tons of resources and tons of content. So whether you want to get in or you want to help someone get in, send them my way. I'm ready to help. You can reach out to me there, or you can also find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Back to the video.
Yeah, and I think to your point, everyone knows what you should do. It's the question why you don't do it. What will people think out of fear? We're gonna die,
Yeah.
obviously, and I don't. My biggest fear aren't snakes and spiders and heights. It's not living the life that I know I could have lived. And
Yeah.
there's always things even when I achieve that, I want something else. But the point is put it on your plate, try it. Because the best things in life are on the other side of that fear. And typically people try to move around fear or the obstacle, but the fear and the obstacle is the way. That's actually there
Yeah.
because you're supposed to go towards it. There's like there's an interesting, I'm going to butcher this, but there's an interesting um, story about the American buffalo. And you may know this, but when a storm comes, the American buffalo are one of the only animals that run into the storm. The reason is scientists say because they know that's the fastest way past it. So, um,
Uh,
so the same analogy, put it on your plate, see what you can handle. And someone breaking into med device, go through all these frustrations and motions and hire someone to help you or don't, or whatever it is.
wow.
Do what you got to do. Feel the frustration because you're going to come out better. You will always come out better. Maybe the most challenging thing you've lived or you've done to life to date thus far, but that's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Yeah. Interesting. That one's going to stick with me. I've never heard that, but I don't know why that's hitting so hard, right? As opposed to running away from it and it's just going to keep chasing you.
Yeah, or
Just
around it.
run
Most
head
people try to
first into
go
the thing.
around.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yeah. Avoid.
Yeah.
And it's just going to sit with you that you've avoided it and you know it in the back of your head. Like one of the things that I say in my Discover series for those who are questioning whether or not they want to get in is med sales is extremely good for you because it's so complex. There's a lot of reasons, right? So it's complex selling. It's prestigious
Yep.
in some sense, right?
Yep.
Once you're in, you're in.
Yep.
It's recession proof.
Yep.
You get paid extremely well. You get challenged. And so you start to grow as a person. And I say all that because maybe there's someone out there that's not 100% sure they want to do this for the rest of their life. But what that does for you, you're creating this raft for yourself where you'll always be wanted in the industry. The industry will always be there, and you're building yourself into a better communicator. You're pushing yourself to your limits. You're figuring out what you're good at and what you're not, your innate abilities, and you build upon that. And let's say that you want to be an entrepreneur and go invest in real estate. For me, for you, build a sales business, invest in a gym. I know that you're doing that now. You have the money to do that. You have the wherewithal to sit in a boardroom with people so that you can have real discussions. You know how to analyze the numbers because how many Excel sheets and financial courses maybe your organizations have put you through, right? So now you're so much more capable to do something else if you feel, look, I don't want to do med sales, or on the side, on my spare time, I'm going to put my time into that. So I don't think anyone grows up as a 5-year-old. I'm going to be an astronaut. I want to be a
Yeah.
fireman. I want to be a
Yeah.
med sales rep. That's not up there.
Yeah.
But it makes sense, even if that's not your final goal. Man, yeah, I mean, you could put your kids through college. You
Lots
could
more.
buy a
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
that's my little.
I agree with you. I think um, the juice can be worth the squeeze if you let it. And it is prestigious. So it checks that ego. But it teaches you. I was having this conversation with two of my colleagues recently, Pedro. That's interesting. You said that it is medical device sales from the outside. People are like, all these pretty people get into medical device and it's so easy. it is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I am
Yeah.
around the smartest people I've ever worked with in my life. So it requires you to level up.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, are there good looking people? Maybe, but they're also the smartest people. So it is quite
Yeah.
the place to let you have to level yourself up. So it keeps you leveled up. It You do make good money, so you can have some things in your life that maybe you didn't realize you could do. I always wanted to start a business, or I wanted to buy this house, or I wanted a boat, or I wanted to try. You can do that now if you're successful in medical device. So it does check an ego, but it
Yeah.
also is the most adversity you're going to face in anything. It's going to be the biggest
Yeah.
juggling act you're going to face. So put it on your plate. It will grow you so much. So it is
Yeah.
a good place to be if you can get in.
100%. I'd say the number one thing that the commonality between all the people that are in med sales or successful at med sales is resilience. People who refuse to lose, because you could be good looking, but you could be a great speaker, you could be great financially, you could communicate well with people. You have all these different factors that are useful in the space, but the person that refuses to lose will figure out how to win, and they'll push themselves to that point. Because the best sales reps, and you tell me if this is true in your observations, the best sales reps that you've seen, and it's always great seeing a phenomenal sales rep, like, and you watch them and they own their relationships and all these different things. They're not valedictorians. They're not
Yeah.
doctors. They're
Yes.
not the book smart people, right? They're just a variation of different types of individuals. They really are. But what got them to where they're at is their refuse to like lose, their refuse to let a customer down, to let a patient down, whatever it may be. And you don't know if you're resilient as a person until you put yourself in a place till you have to be resilient. It's not a learned thing. You
100%.
can learn the concept, but you can't learn if you are until you're put through it.
Well said.
Anyways,
You're right.
that's my
The
piece.
most successful people aren't these brilliant, like they're brilliant people because of the resilience that it takes a level of all right, I'll correct. It's not as much IQ as it is EQ. These are the most emotionally
Yeah.
intelligent people I've ever worked with in my life. Therefore, they're pretty smart, but they may have, they're not geniuses, but they're also not, their good looks didn't do it. It's not these talents that they have. It's the hard work and willingness. And I think a lot of, for me, once I got into med device, it was a level of pride. I was like, I'm not failing. I will not leave this industry because I thought I made the wrong decision that first year I came in.
Mm,
It was the hardest thing. And I'm a above average intelligence guy, and I'm a good sales person. Again, not salesy, just I know how to understand how people buy. But I
yeah.
just thought I made a bad decision, but I didn't give up. P Club next year, the P Club after that.
Heck
It,
yeah.
it, and it was the people around me. You kind of are the average of the people you hang out with, as you know. And when you're
Mm,
around these high end, high producing people, you don't have a choice. I guess you do,
yeah.
but I took a sense of pride in it for my journey, and I was like, no choice. I'm going to be right there with them. And
Yeah.
it's why we're sitting here having this conversation today, and I think you took the
Yeah.
same route. As you can see
Yeah. No, 100%.
I mean, I've gotten so many
Yeah, buddy.
awards,
I was just gonna ask about those. Is that President's Club?
two President's Clubs. I dropped one of them when I moved. This is a new office, but two President's
Yeah.
Clubs, two top five placements, two region of the years, and then a gold elite tier. So we get bonus. That's another thing. There's all these different spiffs and bonuses you get. It's just not commission and salary in med device, right? There's other things you can get, but I got a gold elite tier, which was in overall sales for the tenure I'm there. At 1.75 million, you get something. At 3 million, you get something. At 6 million, you get something. At 10 million, they'll give you bonuses
Yeah.
and bonuses on top.
Yes. That's true too. When I was at Stryker, I remember being educated on the differences, the things that matter to people. So some people are 100% satisfied with just getting paid. And then you have some people who really value the recognition of the reward. And it's not an ego, I mean, it could be an ego thing, but it's also like uh, something to shoot for that people care for, right? When somebody sees a board of the top 10, some people are like, I need to be number one. Like that's their driver, right? And that's okay. I need to be able to prove to myself, or like that's so many people need something to go for. And so companies will not just, like you said, give out commissions or extra bonuses. They give out vouchers, travel vouchers. So $5,000, $7,500 for a trip wherever you want with you and your wife and family, right? Because another thing is family, like making their
Big
family
time.
happy, or apologizing for working so damn hard, sweetie. Now we can go to Turks and Caicos or whatever it is on the
Yes.
company. Um, yeah, so there are definitely different awards, rewards, benefits. A buddy of mine actually put himself through. He got a degree at Georgetown that was completely paid for by Siemens.
They do so many things. These organizations are true or great companies. They value family. They do recognize the people that are in the top 10, top 20, whatever your President's Club or Winner's Circle, whatever your champion or chairman's club, whatever it's called, they will reward those people because to get in that seat took so much work. They're like, hey,
Yeah,
I know your spouse misses you. We're going to give you like it is
yeah,
typically across the board. These companies are just like that, which you don't know until you get in. And recognition is big for me. I, I don't know if it's ego as much as maybe it is, but it is an incentive that is intangible. When people know you're good, I think we're tribal people as human beings. If we can't provide
yeah.
value, then why are we living? And it
Hmm.
it strikes an integral, intricate value as a human beings carry when you get recognition. So
Yeah.
they blow it out for, I know Stryker does, they blow it out for their national sales meeting. You walk on stage. It's like an award ceremony that you see on
They
TV.
take pride in their national
Yeah,
sales meeting.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I never got the Rolex, but there are certain tiers or certain every position that you're in, there's certain things that you need to do depending on what you do, whether you're a manager, director, regional sales rep. You can earn a Rolex, whether it
yeah.
takes multiple years and you have to hit a certain number or whatever it is. And there was a year that I thought I won the Rolex. Little did I know they had changed the criteria to get a Rolex. And that was the most important thing to me other than my pay. And I got on stage and I got the box and I opened it up and it was just like a reward, like some sort of
Rose or something. Like the
statue or
flower.
something to put on your plaque for your desk. And I was just like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Because I wanted to be amongst all the guys at Stryker that have been there and they wear their Rolex to their
Like
thing.
the
And it's
green
not about a
jacket.
Rolex. It's just like amongst, yeah, it's like the Masters where you put
Yeah,
the green jacket on. You
yeah,
always have that jacket.
yeah,
I'm now one of the boys here,
yep.
you know? I fucking never
I
got
was
it.
close
It's like
to.
I don't even want to buy Rolex for the rest of my life. I
Yeah,
want to earn a Rolex.
yeah. Dude,
For the conversations that we've had, I really enjoy it because it's a mix of like motivational, but there's like method to where how you think and the process in which you go about it. Your advice in selling is, um, I think, top tier, and it's so funny hearing you talk about it because it's always in line with those tenets that I've learned from some of the best reps that I've ever seen, and what they do is different than the rest, and that's why they are where they are. And every time we talk, the conversation always leads to these lessons that I've learned from those guys or from observing them.
um, speaking of that, I will not be in the top 10 this year. And it's a struggle. And that's something, we can talk about. Like I've had three extremely good years, two incredible years. And nature of the industry is if you're not filling your pipeline because you're working on large deals and implementing, if you're not keeping something I realized, and there is ebbs and flows to this, and you've got to be willing to deal with it. I will not make the money I made the last 2, 3 years this year, but I will set myself up for the following year. It'll be set up, and it's okay. I'm not going to get fired because of it. I'm still producing, right? I'm working just as hard as I have been without the instant gratification. So again, analogy for life, it's like teaching me a lot of
Yeah.
lessons.
I love that you said that. So there is a commonality amongst the best sales reps that I've seen when it comes to their method and their approach. First off, they all have a mindset, a game plan of how it works, a repeatable process that they have to stay focused on throughout the quarter or the year in order to be successful. And it all revolves around funnel management, your prospecting, and your how you're working on how you're building your leads up. And so, for one example, this highly successful Mako sales rep out of Florida, he was always certain, like, he is, I might not hit quote every year, but I'm going to smash it at the very least every other year, because he's strategic about. Now, I'm not saying it's the right way to go about it, but
No,
he's
I
like, if
know.
I know
No,
I'm not
yeah,
going to hit quota, then I'm going to really, really focus on building my funnel as big as I can with quality conversations, because it takes a while to sell a robot, not a couple of days or even a couple months. So that next year I'm going to have a massive amount of robotic sales. So could you dive into kind of like funnel management,
sure.
building the funnel?
Yeah. I'm going to be transparent for your audience. I can't stand it. Like as far as like putting data entry, but that the data entry side of it, the Salesforce side, whatever CRM, I can't stand it. But as far as my process, I am always filling my pipeline. I want something in every stage because you have to. You have to. If you've got things closing and you don't have things in act target active upside, you're going to have the year I'm having right now, which is only hunting, and it feels like a
Right.
scramble. I'm setting myself up for next year, but you don't want to do that. You always want to be ahead. You always want to be
Yeah.
ahead. It is sales 101 to make sure that you have something in every stage. And you do that, or at least I do that by managing my time. Am I always compliant with it? Absolutely not. But I do have a measurement, X amount of times a week I need new bit. I got to focus on my top 10, my top 30, my top 50, which my top 10 I have opportunities at, but my top 20 I might have just
Yeah.
conversations. My top 50 I may not have anything. So I need to actively be in those accounts or calling those accounts and have them on some sort of monthly rotation.
Yes.
It is vital that you
I
manage your
love that.
pipeline by time, by managing your time.
Yes. So yeah, managing the last thing that you want to be doing is to, and every sales rep's been there, and they hate it, where they're forcing a conversation, or they're forcing a sale faster than it should be moving, and now you get that ick feeling when you're with your customers. And in reality, if you had a really nice pipeline, you wouldn't be forcing them to be getting to a decision before you should. We need some more meetings. We need some more education. I need to pull more data, make you feel like this is the right solution. I know it is for you, but you don't yet. But now I'm trying to force it
Correct.
upon you because I don't have anything else to sell this year, because I've made that mistake. And so I think everyone scrutinizes themselves, and they never think they're doing a perfect job. And one of the things I did was kind of, I would go, lead, prospect, and kind of line up where they're at until close. And I had a whiteboard. And if certain columns were um, missing, right? And I know that I need to spend more time here or there, or my leads are kind of drying up, or haven't even spoken to my leads. I'm focusing on closing deals, which is what we need to do, or what our managers want us to do. But in reality, I have to care about the whole thing, because if there's any gaps in my pipeline,
Yeah,
then I'm making a mistake.
that's another one, Pedro. Make it visual. Make it visual. Make it yours. Make it visual. Whether it's an Excel file, I have whiteboards. Can't see it, but I have whiteboards and I have visual pipeline as well. Again, so the Salesforce and that data entry, I get hand slapped all the time for not updating it,
Mm.
but I have my own things going on, and
Yes.
that I'm as far as my pipeline management. But yeah, I think making sure you spend time in your accounts, whatever that is. So trying to push a deal fast and making it, knowing that, hey, this is a better product for you, a better solution. You already know it, but making it their idea. And I think I said it at the beginning, is vital to the process. And
Yeah.
you pushing the deal fast because you're struggling, it's going to ruin it. You're going to spiral. And just go in and do education. Whatever. Hey, don't go to combat that. Some feedback my boss gave me was, Corey, once a week or once a month, I want you to go talk to an account without you needing anything. Give them something. Go just ask them. You're always you have great relationships, Corey, but one piece of advice is you're always talking business. Go in and do something for them. And that also helps me get into the accounts, right? So I'm like, hey, can I go just provide some education? Hey, what do you need? Can I just come by and say hello? Can I bring you by some educational booklets, or can I provide lunch and do an education for you guys and ask for nothing? And it actually
Yes.
gets me in there a little faster.
Asking for nothing, educating, making yourself a trusted consultant, someone that they can rely on for solid information, who genuinely cares about their issues, whether your product can find a solution or not. They're going to remember that in the long term.
Yes, it
Um,
differentiates you.
we have about 5 more minutes. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on, go over, maybe some advice given?
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I think just for your audience's sake, I think what you're doing is necessary. I think the content from my perspective, what use my 2 cents for what it's worth, nothing or something, is I've seen your content. It's really, really good and it's necessary. Your blueprint from the decision making series to the hire get hired series is really good. I think your audience should uh, be benefit tremendously from it. And I think you have enough folks like myself willing to talk with you that it's quite validated.
Thanks for watching. I hope that gave you some real insight. And if you're serious about getting into medical sales or someone you know, send them to me, medsalesblueprint.com. I have tons of resources, tons of content that help people on their way to get into medical sales fast. Phenomenal industry, you know it. People need help getting in, and that's what I'm here for.